Did you pay attention to what he was doing there? Did you consider Jackson State in any way at any point in your process?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. If I was a receiver or a defensive back, yes.
Okay.
As a skill player, you can take that risk. You can take that hit of the drop-off in competition level, the drop-off in, well, it's not even a drop-off in coaching because you have one of the greatest to ever do it, coaching you at that position, being in the SECs and the Big 12s and the Big 10s and the Pac 12s, as an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, you just can't take that risk,
Okay.
It's the physicality, the speed of the game, the tempo of the game. I guarantee you put Jackson State in the field with Texas, you'll see what happens. It's a different intensity. It's a different, and it's not going to be on the outsides. It's going to be
it's in the trenches. I say that every
Right.
time. I say that. I told Pink I went to go see it. I went to go watch Jackson State versus Bethune, and I said it. I said, man, the receivers and DBs, they may be, but it's in the trenches. It's the linemen. Like, I can see the size difference. I can see their skill level. It's just a difference, and the gap.
And Deion said as much himself.
And he said as much
As
himself.
far as if he wants to try to compete with some Power 5 schools, he's not there in the trenches.
That's why he's holding off
that.
and scheduling those teams. What do you think is the biggest? I'm trying to think of the right word, but the biggest gap, the biggest for HBCU schools, the biggest challenge as far as bringing in better recruits. You hinted at a couple of things, but I just want you to go ahead and say it. What do you think the biggest challenge is?
I mean, you're nagging at decades and decades of high school recruits going, 2 decades of high school recruits going to PWIs,
Right.
And that's where all the competition is. That's where all the NFL scouts are going,
Right.
For HBCUs to really work out the way that they want it to work out, every top recruit in the country is going to have to come to an agreement. All right, this is where we're going. We're the people that's coming out. We're who the NFL is looking at. So now they're going to have to come to the HBCUs to find us.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a player empowerment movement.
Right.
Almost beyond the schools.
Beyond the schools.
There's nothing that the schools can do to do that. It has to be a mutual recruit agreement. If 50 recruits go there, if the top 50 players in the country all go to HBCUs, they're going to be forced. They're going to be forced to go and look at the HBCUs.
The NFL recruits and things like that. Recruiters, yeah.
So right now, if
that's a great point.
If you don't have to do that, you can go to Coastal Carolina or anywhere else, and they're just going to be there already.
Right.
It kind of defeats the purpose. I get it. Supporting our people and all of that, but you got to make a decision for you.
Yeah, and you and your family.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, making a decision for you and your family also helping out the black community if you think about it. To be honest.
Yeah. No.
So
being upstanding. What specifically? What do you admire anything about what Deion's doing, and where do you think that could go? Because Pink has a thing about it can't just be Jackson State. You know what I mean? All the other HBCUs will have to eventually have success recruiting top recruits. It just can't be Jackson State or this cause to be off.
Yeah, my kind of point on that is that if Jackson State continues to recruit it at a higher level than the rest of the HBCUs, and the majority of the games are bad football games, it's not helping anybody. And I think it becomes a bit of a dead end.
He needs a few Power 5 wins under his belt.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
And it's going to take him to be able to leave Jackson State and build an empire at a PWI. I feel like very easily he could take what he's doing at a PWI and bring that. At Jackson State and bring that same culture to a PWI. Because here's the thing: every single football program in the country is a reflection of their head coach, from the top to the bottom. I promise you, it's kind of weird. So he brings that same mentality, that same players he's recruiting and all of that. He brings those same type of guys into PWI, and he's there for more than 5 years. It very well could start changing things. And I feel like it'll start spreading out in those areas at first, And there's not that many black head coaches,
Right.
I feel like the closest thing to an HBCU in college football right now is Michigan State.
How many like coordinators do they that's what you're speaking to? They have a lot of black coordinators.
The head coach is black.
Yeah.
Literally, he coaches him like a black man. He teaches them like a black man. Some of the players don't have fathers. You know, he's their father
And
figure.
he's their father figure.
He literally has lotion bottles all around the facilities because he made sure that every single black man in there knows you're not going to be ashy around that program. I promise you.
Is the majority of his staff black as well?
It's about 50%.
50. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I mean it, like, he takes all of this. He takes everything little seriously. Like, he's teaching them how to be black men rather than just, you know, ball players. So, and I feel like he's the closest thing to a Deion in the PWI realm right now.
That's awesome.
Do you think at some level, because they are PWIs for a reason, that some schools would be reluctant to bring in Deion?
No.
You don't think so at all?
Not at this point. Like Auburn fired their coach. I don't think it's a coincidence that Deion goes on 60 Minutes. They mention Auburn. You mentioned something about the head coach, the trouble being there brewing.
No, he was a bad fit. He came from like Boise State,
right.
Just never fit into like Southern football culture. And
I just
was
personally,
a tough fit.
I don't think it's a coincidence that happens, and a week later they fire their coach instead of just letting the season ride out. I think they're going to go after him hard. And once that opens up, I think other schools are going to start making moves to go at them as well. And I think it's mostly because of what he's shown at Jackson State. Because remember, before Jackson State, he wanted to become a coach, and he voiced that. And really, it was the PWIs that didn't want to give him an opportunity, a chance.
Correct.
They were like, hey, we'll bring you in as a DB or receivers coach or an assistant receivers DB coach, but there's no way we can give you an opportunity as a head coach or assistant coach. Right. And so he's like, okay, well, I'm going to show you. I'll go over here and build my thing. And I think now he's shown himself. He's proven himself. Okay, I'm committed. I know how to coach. I can coach, and I can recruit, which you should have known that in the first place. I'm Deion. I come sit in the living room. That guy's probably coming to me.
I guess here's the question that I look at. If he ends up going to a PWI, how selective does he need to be? In the sense. But, and here's why I say that. There are certain, money schools that win a lot in college football, PWI schools. Deion is building a brand that's a little different than that.
Yeah.
Does he feel that like he can put that brand in some place that's not in the top 5 of the arms race and get there anyway? Does he have that level of belief in himself?
It's a good question. I mean, we don't know the direct answer to that.
Yeah,
but it is a good question. Like I said, I'm in the camp. I'm rooting for him to stay.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him to stay. I just don't think there's that big of a impact that he can make at a PWI versus the impact that he can continue to make at Jackson State. It's just, if you go to an Auburn, I guess that's big impact. If you go to Auburn, but Auburn has won before, it would almost have to be a school that's down in the doldrums. You know what I mean? And
well, that's
what
I'm saying. How selective is he?
Yeah.
Because I'll stand by this. I'm pretty certain Kirby Smart could have left Alabama before he took the Georgia job.
Yeah.
But he played his cards right to me because he went to Georgia and they became a contending team right away. Like, they backed him and he had the talent to do it.
At a school that had a good recruiting base and everything.
But there's a ton of guys that take jobs that, like, they're at a big school, they leave there, and then it's like, it's
the guy that was at UCF. Scott. Right?
Scott Frost went back to Nebraska.
What a terrible, god-awful idea that was.
Yeah, now
I
he's...
mean, you look at Heupel. You see what Heupel's doing.
Well, Heupel's done the other thing in Tennessee. That's the other...
He's done the reverse almost.
He's killing it in Tennessee. Yeah.
They number one team in the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can work, but it may not. And Tennessee is that is an awesome example because that's almost what I'm talking about. Yeah, taking a school like that, it hasn't won in a long time.
But Auburn could fit in that category.
And I can vouch
Auburn
for
won
Texas.
more
I can
recent.
vouch for Texas the exact same way.
Texas, yeah.
And our head coach came
with Charlie and all those guys.
Our head coach came from Alabama.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was the year before last, he was the assistant coach at Alabama.
Yeah.
And Texas is a program that has been down for a little while, but it's a winning program. And
what do you think they're going to fall at as far as recruiting class?
Right now, we're at number 2.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Only
Yeah.
school we're behind is Alabama right now
Wow.
in recruiting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're up
I
there.
mean, you know, we have the number 1 player overall on every single site. So
Yeah.
and
That'll help.
Wait, who's the number 1 player overall?
Arch man,
Arch.
Oh, Arch is the number 1 overall.
Yeah, he
Okay.
better be.
everywhere.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
He's the second highest rated recruit of all time.
Wow.
Really? Who's
Is
top?
Luck? Is Luck number 1?
Let me look. I
Maybe.
can actually just look for you right now.
I don't know. I just guessed because it was so much
Yeah.
hype
fanfare
around
about
Luck
him.
around the time.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like Texas is a school that they have money.
They have resources,
facilities.
man. Yeah.
Tennessee's that way too, to a degree.
To a degree.